What if I told you that the key to understanding the universe has been right in front of us for thousands of years? Hidden beneath layers of myth, secrecy, and suppression lies knowledge so powerful it has shaped spirituality, science, and philosophy. This isn't just another historical mystery. It's information that could change how you see everything. Hermes Trismegistus is a name whispered in secret societies, mentioned in ancient texts, and remembered in esoteric thought. Yet why is he missing from mainstream history? Why do Freemasons, alchemists, and mystics value his teachings while most people remain unaware? His wisdom isn't just philosophy. It's a guide to enlightenment coded in texts like the Emerald Tablet. For centuries, scholars, mystics, and knowledge seekers have asked, who was Hermes Trismegistus? Was he a person, a god, or something else entirely? His name itself is puzzling. Hermes, the Greek messenger god, combined with the Egyptian deity of wisdom, Thoth. Trismegistus means thrice great, a title for someone who mastered alchemy, astrology, and theurgy. Hermes Trismegistus isn't just a legendary figure. He represents the foundation of a knowledge system that has influenced secret societies, religious doctrines, and modern science. The greatest Renaissance minds, Newton, Da Vinci, and Giordano Bruno, all studied Hermetic texts, looking for hidden universal truths. These teachings weren't meant for everyone. They were protected, encoded, and passed down only to those considered worthy. They were discussed quietly in ancient mystery schools, hidden in stories, and buried under symbolic language. To outsiders, they seemed like strange ideas. To those who could understand them, they revealed reality's blueprint. Why would such knowledge need hiding? Why is Hermes Trismegistus barely mentioned in history books despite his huge influence? The answer lies in power itself. Those who understand the basic laws of the universe, how reality works, how the mind shapes existence, how energy changes, gain massive advantages over the uninformed. Ancient rulers, monarchies, religious authorities, and those in control had no interest in an awakened population. Knowledge was power, and power was hoarded. So Hermetic teachings were broken up, suppressed, and pushed into shadows. Even texts credited to Hermes, the Corpus Hermeticum, the Emerald Tablet, and the Kybalion, survived only through secrecy. The Corpus Hermeticum, a collection of writings about existence, mind, and divinity, was almost lost forever, rediscovered only during the Renaissance. The Emerald Tablet, said to contain the secret of change and unity of all things, became Western alchemy's foundation. The Kybalion, written much later, compressed Hermetic ideas into 7 laws that govern everything. Here's where the mystery gets even stranger. If Hermes was just a legend, a symbolic figure, why have history's most powerful groups referenced his wisdom behind closed doors? Why do Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and similar orders still encode Hermetic teachings in their symbols, rituals, and philosophies? And if this knowledge is just ancient superstition, why do modern scientists now echo what Hermes taught thousands of years ago? Some say Hermes Trismegistus was a wise teacher who lived before recorded history, sharing wisdom from an advanced, lost civilization. Others believe he wasn't a single person, but represents a chain of knowledge keepers. Some claim Hermes wasn't from Earth at all, that his knowledge wasn't discovered but given to humanity by forces beyond our understanding. Regardless of his origin, one fact remains clear. His teachings have endured. They've outlasted empires, religions, and institutions. They survived the burning of Alexandria's library, Rome's fall, and countless attempts to erase them. Now, as humanity stands at the edge of a new awakening, these teachings are appearing again. Some truths, however, are too powerful for public platforms. That's why we share the deepest Hermetic secrets only in our free newsletter, Insights Academy. If you want access to what we can't show here, sign up through the link below. For a limited time, you'll get a free copy of the Kybalion, a book they don't want you to read. Hermes Trismegistus isn't just history. His wisdom lives on, waiting for those ready to see and understand it. And if you're still watching this, you're already on the path. The question is, are you ready to go further? Everything you've been taught about reality is incomplete. The physical world, scientific laws, and society's limits show only part of a larger truth. Hermes Trismegistus's teachings point to something more significant, something kept out of mainstream education, philosophy, and religion. Reality isn't solid, fixed, or mechanical. It's flexible, mental, and responsive. Those who know the hidden laws controlling existence can shape their lives. Those who remain ignorant stay at the mercy of forces they don't understand. This is Hermeticism's core. 7 universal laws governing everything from galaxies to your daily thoughts. These aren't theories or beliefs. They're truths passed down through time, coded in ancient wisdom. The first principle is mentalism. Everything is mind. Nothing exists outside consciousness. The universe itself is a mental creation, a projection of divine thought. This isn't just a metaphor, it's literal. Scientists now recognize that perception affects reality. Observation changes subatomic particles, and matter isn't solid but energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your mind isn't just a tool, it creates all experience. Change your mind, and you change reality. Next comes correspondence, shown in the famous phrase, "As above, so below, as within, so without." This helps us understand everything. The universe's patterns repeat at every level. From galaxy spirals to DNA's double helix, from atom structure to human thinking. What happens in your mind shows up in the outside world. If your life feels chaotic, broken, or stuck, it's not random fate. It mirrors something inside you. Fix your inner world, and your outer world follows. The third principle is vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The difference between light and sound, solid and liquid, joy and sadness is frequency. Emotions, thoughts, and physical objects all have vibrational patterns. Ancient mystics and modern scientists have studied frequency's power. From Tibetan monks using sound to alter consciousness, to Nikola Tesla saying, "If you want to find the universe's secrets, think about energy, frequency, and vibration." Those who understand this principle can raise their awareness. Then comes polarity. Everything has its opposite. Hot and cold, light and dark, love and hate aren't separate forces but different degrees of the same thing. Understanding polarity means understanding change. Hate, when changed in frequency, becomes love. Weakness, when strengthened, becomes power. The key isn't resistance, but changing one force into another. Rhythm follows, a law controlling all cycles. Tides rise and fall, seasons change, fortunes move, and energy flows in patterns. Those who fight life's rhythms suffer, while those who understand it move in harmony with the flow. The secret isn't to fight downturns, but to use them. Every loss leads to gain. Every hardship carries renewal. When you master this, you stop being a victim of life's ups and downs and become its conductor. Then there's cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance. Every event, experience, and thought links in an unbroken chain of causes. The world doesn't run on luck or coincidence. It runs on laws. People who drift through life reacting to circumstances remain powerless. But those who understand that every action starts an effect can begin to shape their future. The final principle is gender, not biological gender, but a basic force in the universe. Everything contains both masculine and feminine energies, active and receiving forces in nature, thought, and creation itself. Balance between these energies determines how well things manifest. Ancient people knew this. They understood that creation isn't random. It results from uniting these polar forces in perfect balance. These 7 principles form existence's hidden structure. They're the laws behind every experience, event, and outcome. Yet despite their importance, they aren't taught in schools, discussed in mainstream science, or included in organized religion. Why? Because understanding them gives power, real power, that lets people break free from control, take charge of their reality, and reach a level of awareness that can't be manipulated from outside. That's why these principles have been hidden, guarded by initiates, coded in symbols, and shared only with those proven ready. But these laws were never meant to stay with just a few. They belong to every being trying to understand existence. If you've read this far, you're already on the path. You've glimpsed what was once hidden. Now the choice is yours. Will you apply these principles, or will you keep living under laws you don't understand? Because whether you acknowledge them or not, they're always working, shaping your life. The only question is, will you let them control you, or will you learn to control them? For centuries, people have dismissed alchemy as just an ancient pseudoscience, a misguided attempt to turn lead into gold. A foolish pursuit, they say, from before chemistry, rational thought, and real science existed. But what if that was never alchemy's true purpose? What if the philosopher's stone wasn't a real object, but a symbol for something greater? What if the real gold wasn't metal, but the human soul's change? This misconception has kept people blind to one of the most powerful spiritual processes ever known. The old alchemists weren't primitive chemists. They were students of an esoteric tradition older than recorded history. They knew alchemy wasn't about external change, but internal growth. The lead they wanted to change was the human condition. Basic, dense, weighed down by fear, ignorance, and material limits. The gold was the awakened state, the enlightened being, the fully realized self. In Hermetic thought, alchemy is called the great work, a multi-layered process of purifying the soul, breaking down the false self. It rebuilds the person into something far beyond ordinary human awareness. It requires death and rebirth, shedding all illusions. A path few dare walk because it demands complete destruction of the ego. This is exactly why it was hidden, encrypted, and disguised under metaphors and symbols only initiates could understand. Because the truth frees people, and nothing threatens a system built on control more than a person awakened to their true power. The alchemical process has 3 main stages: nigredo, albedo, and rubedo, the blackening, whitening, and reddening. Nigredo breaks down the old self, faces inner darkness, and destroys what's necessary before rebirth. This is why many fear the path. They won't let go of who they think they are. But without death, there can be no change. Albedo follows, purification, removing false identities, washing away ignorance. It brings clarity, seeing reality as it truly is, beginning to rise from the old self's ashes. Those reaching this stage start to understand that their former world was an illusion. They see that old attachments, fears, and desires were just chains binding them to a lesser existence. Finally comes rubedo, the culmination, the union of opposites, the birth of the awakened self. This is enlightenment, the realization of true awareness, the alchemical gold. Those who reach this stage aren't ordinary people anymore. They master their reality. They become beings who have moved beyond the limits of mind, body, and time. Here's where it gets truly disturbing. This knowledge has been deliberately buried, misinterpreted, and ridiculed. Today's world teaches that there is no change, that you're fixed, that your awareness is tied to the material world and can't go beyond it. Enlightenment has been reduced to a vague ideal, but ancient people knew better. They knew humans are unfinished works, raw materials capable of refinement, lead-like substances waiting to become gold. They knew reality itself isn't as solid as it seems, that mind, body, and soul can change into something higher. They knew that understanding true alchemy meant understanding existence itself. Even today, echoes of this truth appear in fields you wouldn't connect with alchemy. Modern psychology borrows from the alchemical process. Shadow work, facing and integrating darker parts of the psyche, is the Negredo stage. Self-purification, healing trauma, and releasing false identities is albedo. And the final change into a whole, actualized self, rubedo, is the goal of nearly every esoteric spiritual tradition. The signs have always been visible. Christ's resurrection, the phoenix rising from ashes, the snake shedding its skin, the caterpillar dissolving before becoming a butterfly. All these stories show the alchemical process. But most people never see it. They accept surface-level meanings without questioning the deeper truths beneath the myths. Perhaps the biggest lie is this: they convinced you that change is impossible, that you are who you are, that your flaws and limits are permanent, that you must accept your current state forever. Nothing could be further from truth. Hermetic alchemy teaches that the soul isn't bound by material laws, that what you are now isn't what you must always be. Every human holds the seed of something greater. But this knowledge isn't freely given. You must search for it, earn it, and understand it completely. Because the process of change isn't gentle. It's an all-consuming fire that burns everything false before showing the truth. This is why the philosopher's stone was never a real object. It symbolized enlightenment, the perfected self, the union of spirit and matter. The few who have understood this truth have changed history's course. And now it's appearing again for those ready to receive it. The only question is, are you willing to undergo the change? This isn't a comfortable path. It's a path of destruction, rebirth, and ultimate realization. Those who walk it never return the same. There exists a piece of wisdom so meaningful that people have studied, debated, and hidden it for centuries. A small, cryptic text from an unknown past contains a message so powerful it has shaped alchemy, mysticism, and even modern science. This is the Emerald Tablet, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, holding reality's most essential truth in just a few lines. That which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below, to accomplish the miracle of the one thing. This single statement is one of the most mysterious and powerful teachings ever recorded. It forms Hermeticism's foundation, alchemy's heart, and existence's hidden structure. But it's more than just words. It's a formula, a law, a cosmic truth explaining reality's mechanics. It shows why the microcosm reflects the macrocosm, why universe patterns repeat at every level, why the mind influences matter, and why your thoughts aren't just passive reflections, but active forces shaping your life. The Emerald Tablet isn't just an ancient artifact. It's a coded message for those with eyes to see. The deeper you look, the more you realize this knowledge has been hidden, not because it's false, but because it's dangerous. Because it shows that the limits you've accepted as reality are just constructs, carefully placed illusions. Hermes Trismegistus didn't write about a passive universe. He described a living, breathing system of creation and change. The phrase, "as above, so below," isn't just poetic. It's a scientific and spiritual law. It means what happens at one level of existence mirrors all others. Celestial bodies' movements influence human awareness. Atom structure mirrors galaxy spirals. Nature's cycles reflect cycles of thought, emotion, and spiritual evolution. Ancient civilizations understood this. Egyptians built pyramids aligned with stars not for beauty, but because they believed in the connection between earth and heavens. Kabbalists mapped divine mind structure onto the tree of life, believing that by understanding one's own mind, one could understand the universe. Even in Eastern traditions, the concept of macrocosm and microcosm fills Taoist and Vedic texts. This was universal knowledge until deliberately suppressed. But here's where the truth becomes even more extraordinary. Modern physics, quantum mechanics, and even neuroscience now confirm what Hermes Trismegistus taught thousands of years ago. Scientists know particles behave differently when observed, proving awareness itself affects reality. String theory suggests the universe consists of vibrating energy, echoing the Hermetic principle of vibration. Fractal theory demonstrates the same patterns repeat at infinite scales, just as Hermes taught. So why does this knowledge remain hidden in plain sight? Why does mainstream science refuse to connect these findings to Hermetic principles? Because acknowledging this truth would destroy the greatest illusion of all, the belief that you are powerless. If everything follows the principle of correspondence, then your mind and thoughts don't just react to reality, they create it. This is the secret hidden in the Emerald Tablet. The truth that rulers, institutions, and control systems have worked to obscure. If you knew beyond doubt that your thoughts shape the world around you, that your awareness isn't just a brain byproduct, but an intrinsic force of reality itself, how would you live? Would you accept imposed limits? Would you blindly follow society's stories? Or would you question everything and reclaim the power hidden from you? This is why the Emerald Tablet has been studied secretly, locked in secret society vaults, and dismissed as legend. Because those who truly understand it don't stay asleep. They wake up. They step beyond the illusion. They learn to shape reality instead of being shaped by it. This is where every seeker's journey truly begins. You realize the same force moving the stars flows through you. That mind, universe, and existence aren't separate. They're reflections of the same basic principle. This is what Hermes Trismegistus tried to teach the world. This is why his words refuse to disappear. Why they keep resurfacing century after century, despite every attempt to erase them. Because truth can't be destroyed, only hidden, waiting for those ready to find it. Hermes Trismegistus may not be mentioned in religious sermons or history classes, but his influence runs deeper than most realize. His teachings in Hermetic texts have shaped secret societies, philosophical movements, and even religious doctrine's structure. His wisdom was never meant to be public. It was reserved for initiates, the chosen few considered worthy of understanding reality's hidden laws. But why? What makes Hermeticism so powerful that it needed safeguarding, distortion, or hiding beneath religious rules? To understand this, we must return to the ancient world. Hermes's teachings weren't limited to one civilization or culture. They bridged Egyptian mystery schools, Greek philosophers, and Judaism, Christianity, and Islam's esoteric branches. The Hermetic tradition flowed through Kabbalah, Gnosticism, and Sufism, carrying the same message. Reality isn't what it seems. Those who understand its hidden laws can reshape it. Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and other secret societies built on Hermetic principles. Their symbols, rituals, and teachings continue the knowledge first attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. As above, so below appears in Masonic lodges, in their initiations, and coded in their architecture. The concept of the great work, the spiritual change of the soul, is central to Rosicrucian thought. Even alchemy, which these societies studied secretly, was just Hermeticism disguised as chemistry. But why hide these teachings? The answer is simple. Hermeticism teaches self-rule. It doesn't need a priest, institution, or middleman to access divinity. It teaches that mind creates reality, that soul is eternal, and that enlightenment comes from direct knowledge rather than blind faith. That's exactly what made it threaten religious and political institutions. When Christianity gained power, it absorbed and repurposed many Hermetic concepts, but only in ways that strengthened external authority. The idea of Christ as divine logos, the word through which reality is spoken into existence, mirrors the Hermetic principle of mentalism. All is mind, and the universe is a thought in the Creator's mind. The Trinity concept, three forces in unity, mirrors Hermes's title, Thrice Great. Even Christ's resurrection and soul change echo the alchemical process of turning the basic human condition into divine gold. But here's the key difference. Hermeticism teaches every human can awaken the divine within themselves. Religious institutions often place divinity as something external, granted only through obedience to higher authority. Once people realize they don't need institutions to access higher wisdom, the entire control structure falls. This is why Hermetic thought was condemned, why the early church called it heresy, why the Gnostics with similar teachings were persecuted and erased from history. Even in Judaism, Hermetic traces appear in Kabbalah, the esoteric tradition describing a hidden universe structure called the Tree of Life. It mirrors the Hermetic idea that reality forms through divine emanations, existence layers that knowledge seekers can navigate. In Islam, Sufism carries Hermetic wisdom echoes, teaching that the universe is an illusion and true knowledge comes from direct divine experience. These esoteric branches survived by staying underground, passed through whispers, symbols, and secret texts. Hermeticism's suppression wasn't just religious. As science emerged, ruling classes ensured it too separated from past spiritual truths. The very idea that awareness shapes reality was erased from mainstream thought. Renaissance scientists who were Hermeticists, men like Newton, Kepler, and Giordano Bruno, either hid their beliefs or were executed for them. Bruno, for example, burned at the stake not just for suggesting an infinite universe, but because his philosophy aligned too closely with Hermeticism. He claimed mind reflected cosmos, divinity existed within, and understanding nature's laws meant understanding God's mind. Ruling authorities couldn't allow such ideas to spread. Yet despite every attempt to erase, distort, or suppress this knowledge, it survived. It lived in Freemason rituals, alchemist texts, and hidden manuscripts smuggled from burning libraries. Even now, as society becomes increasingly mechanical, materialistic, and disconnected from ancient wisdom, Hermetic teachings are reappearing, because truth can't be destroyed. It can only be forgotten and rediscovered. The question is, why now? Why is Hermetic knowledge returning in the modern age? Perhaps because we've reached a tipping point. As the world grows more unstable, as traditional institutions lose their grip, as people sense something fundamentally wrong with the reality they've been given, the old knowledge returns. Those seeking truth are drawn to it again. And once you see through the illusion, there's no going back. The same secrets hidden by ancients, guarded by secret societies, and woven into religious thought, are now available to those who dare look. But be warned, this knowledge isn't passive. It's not something to just read and forget. It demands application. It demands change. It demands growth. Time is the greatest illusion ever created. It's the prison binding human awareness to the material world. It's the invisible chain keeping people trapped in cycles of repetition, fear, and limitation. From birth, you learn to measure life in hours, days, and years, to see existence as a straight line moving from past to future. But what if time isn't what you've been told? What if past, present, and future aren't separate but exist simultaneously? What if Hermes Trismegistus revealed this truth thousands of years ago, only for it to be buried beneath dogma, distraction, and deception? According to Hermetic teachings, time isn't linear, but cyclical. It moves in spirals, not straight lines. The concept of beginning and end is an illusion imposed on reality by limited perception. What has been will happen again, and what's happening now has already happened before. This idea appears in the principle of rhythm, the great cosmic law governing cycles at every existence level. The rise and fall of empires, the moon's waxing and waning, life's inhalation and exhalation. Everything follows a pattern, repeating across different scales, eternally moving. This is why ancient civilizations spoke of ages, not historical progress. Egyptians, Hindus, and Greeks all described vast cosmic cycles where knowledge is lost and rediscovered, where humanity reaches enlightenment only to descend into darkness again. Hermes taught that those who understand these cycles are no longer bound by them. They step outside time, seeing existence from a higher viewpoint, understanding that the present moment contains all possibilities. The past isn't gone. It's simply another reality layer, accessible to those who perceive beyond the illusion. And if time is an illusion, what does that say about death? The great fear looming over humanity, the terror driving people to cling to material existence, to avoid questioning life's deeper mysteries. Hermes Trismegistus taught that death isn't an end, but a transition, a frequency shift, a movement from one state to another. The body dies, but awareness, the true self-essence, remains. It moves through dimensions, reincarnating, evolving, remembering and forgetting in endless cycles. Every ancient tradition carried some version of this truth, but none dared express it as clearly as the Hermeticists. They saw the soul as eternal, passing through different existence planes, learning, evolving, refining itself like the alchemist refines lead into gold. This is why the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, symbolizes eternity, rebirth, and infinite existence. It's not just a poetic metaphor, it's a map of reality itself. Modern science now catches up to what Hermes taught thousands of years ago. Quantum physics suggests time doesn't flow one way but is relative, depending on perception. Near-death experiences, awareness studies, and altered state research all point to the same conclusion. Awareness isn't produced by the brain but exists independently. The body is a vessel, an instrument, but not the self. The self is infinite. The self exists beyond time. But this knowledge has been deliberately obscured. Society builds on the belief that time is limited, that you must race against the clock, that your existence is fleeting and must fill with distractions. You're conditioned to fear death, to avoid thinking about it, to see it as the ultimate unknown rather than awareness's next stage. Because if people knew, if they truly understood they aren't their bodies, that they don't stop existing when the body fails, the entire control structure would collapse. Fear would lose its grip. The endless pursuit of material gain, external approval, conformity to systems designed to keep you distracted, none would hold power over you anymore. Hermes didn't just teach philosophy. He provided a liberation map. He revealed reality's hidden architecture, the mechanisms by which awareness moves through existence. The Emerald Tablet, Corpus Hermeticum, and Kybalion aren't just intellectual curiosities. They're tools for those ready to awaken. They invite you to break free from time's illusion, to remember who you truly are, to see beyond the veil placed before your eyes. Most will never question the illusion. They'll live and die believing time is a straight path leading to an inevitable end. But some, those who seek, those pulled by something greater, will step beyond it. They'll realize the past isn't behind them, the future isn't ahead, and all existence happens now. They'll understand death isn't defeat, but a doorway. And once that realization dawns, there's no going back. For centuries, Hermes Trismegistus's teachings have hidden in symbols, locked in secret societies, and distorted by those fearing their meaning. Because if people understood Hermetic wisdom's depth, they couldn't be controlled. They'd see through the illusion. They'd wake up. Reality's laws aren't random. They're precise, universal, and unbreakable. Yet most people remain ignorant of them, blindly following paths set by forces thriving on submission. But once you understand these laws, once you internalize your own power, nothing can stop you. The first step is understanding reality is mental. The world you experience isn't external to you. It's shaped by your mind, perception, and focus. This is mentalism, Hermeticism's foundation. Everything is mind. Your life doesn't happen to you, it responds to you. Your fears, beliefs, and expectations don't just exist in your head. They structure reality's very fabric. This is why powerful people flood the world with fear, scarcity, and distractions. A mind trapped in fear can't create freely. A mind filled with chaos can't show its true abilities. But when you reclaim mind control, when you consciously direct thoughts, emotions, and energy, you see you're not a passive observer, you're your existence's architect. Understanding isn't enough. You must apply it. You must notice every thought, emotion, and belief you carry. What enters your awareness? What patterns have been programmed into you by a world profiting from your ignorance? The correspondence principle teaches that inner world reflects outer world. If your external reality shows limitation, suffering, and stagnation, something within you aligns with those conditions. Change the internal, and the external must follow. This isn't wishful thinking or blind optimism. It's law. Most people never control this process because they believe life happens randomly. They think circumstances come from luck, chance, or outside forces. But the cause and effect principle states nothing happens by accident. Every event, experience, and situation results from a chain reaction started by thoughts, actions, and energies. Whether consciously or unconsciously directed, most people drift through life reacting to whatever appears, unaware they create the very conditions they feel powerless against. But the awakened mind sees the pattern, understands the law, and acts with purpose. Yet change isn't instant. It's a process, a gradual refinement, a self-purification. The rhythm principle teaches everything moves in cycles: expansion and contraction, growth and decay, success and failure. Those who don't understand this get discouraged by setbacks, thinking they've failed. But the Hermeticist knows setbacks belong to the rhythm. Every descent leads to ascent. The key is moving with the flow, not resisting it. This is why patience matters. This is why persistence counts. The world tests you, sees if you deserve this knowledge, challenges you at every turn. But those who continue, who align with reality's principles, find the universe bends to their will. But this knowledge isn't just about personal power. It's about freeing the self, the mind, the soul. The ultimate deception claims you are small, weak, and at the mercy of forces beyond your control. That lie has been enforced through religion, government, media, and every institution benefiting from an obedient, unquestioning population. Because the moment you understand your own nature, the moment you realize the same force moving the cosmos moves within you, you become uncontrollable. You stop seeking permission. You stop waiting for external validation. You stop playing by rules designed to keep you bound. This is why Hermeticism has survived every erasure attempt. This is why, despite centuries of suppression, it returns now. Because some people are ready to remember. Some can no longer ignore the feeling that something more exists, something just beyond ordinary existence's veil. You're not here by accident. You didn't find this knowledge by chance. Something inside you stirs, awakens, remembers, and once you start this path, there's no turning back. The old world crumbles. Systems built on lies and fear lose their grip. In their place, a new understanding emerges, one not dictated by external authorities, but by those reclaiming their sovereignty, who remember the power was never outside them, but always within. There was a time when this knowledge was known, when it wasn't hidden, suppressed or distorted, when truth seekers could find it openly, when the universe's great mysteries weren't locked in secret societies or buried beneath religious rules. But that time passed. The world fell into darkness, into ignorance, into an age where people became slaves to a false reality, disconnected from their divine abilities. Hermes Trismegistus's teachings never disappeared. They were taken. They were hidden from most people, guarded by those who knew that a population understanding its own power can't be controlled. But now something changes. The knowledge returns. People remember, awaken, sense that the reality they received is incomplete. This is why you're here. This is why you're reading this now. Some part of you knows, even if you can't fully express it, that something more exists, that the limits placed on you are artificial, that you weren't born to simply exist, obey, and disappear, that a greater purpose, a greater reality waits just beyond the veil. Hermetic teachings offer more than philosophy. They offer a path, a way to reclaim what was taken, a way to step outside the illusion into true knowledge. But knowledge alone isn't enough. Understanding these principles, memorizing them, discussing them, none matters if you don't apply them. This is why many seekers fail. They search for truth, but when they find it, they hesitate. They fear the responsibility of knowing they create their own existence. They cling to old patterns and beliefs because stepping into true power means letting go of everything familiar. This is the crossroads where every awakened person stands. Do you continue as before, pretending you never saw the illusion? Or do you move forward into the unknown, into a reality where you're no longer a prisoner, but a creator? The Hermeticist's path isn't easy. It demands discipline, awareness, and willingness to unlearn everything you've been taught to believe. It's not about following a new doctrine or submitting to a new authority. It's about thinking for yourself, about seeing through deception layers, about recognizing that every limit in your life can be overcome. Most people will never take this path. They'll hear these words, they'll feel the connection, and then they'll return to distraction, to routine, to the safety of what they've always known. Not because they don't believe, but because change's weight is heavy. But if you're still here, if something inside still calls, then you already know you can't turn back. You've seen too much, understood too much to pretend otherwise. The illusion now has cracks, and through those cracks, truth shines. You can ignore it, letting it fade into your life's background, or you can step forward, taking your first real step beyond the veil. Because Hermetic teachings aren't about history, philosophy, or abstract ideas. They're about you, your mind, your reality, your power. And once you begin to see, once you begin to apply, you'll understand why this knowledge stayed hidden so long. Because those who use it become truly free. If this video connected with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."